There's a tattoo parlor that's mega speaker, and everyone is forced to listen to this 7 days a week. I don't know anyone who lives away from the boardwalk is subjected to that kind of noise. I cannot open my door without hearing radio music or CDs blasted. I hear it all the way into my bedroom, and I've called the city, I've called the police, I've called various other divisions and offices, and to no avail. And it's getting to the point where, as much as I love being here and would love to stay here, I'm wondering why a paying resident has no rights over somebody who is just, flopping down on the boardwalk blasting the radio. Anyway, I'd like to see something done about that ASAP. Another thing, I'd like to see a survey of residents taken before some of these changes are undertaken. I think that some of them are really wonderful, but I'd really like to see a survey taken of people in the general vicinity who live there, and also the storekeepers. And finally, I'd like to see a uniformed group of people that are maybe deputized or have some authority to monitor the boardwalk and make sure that vendors that are not allowed there are not allowed there, or Leslie, because it looks like a flea market. It does not look like an art walk to me. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak.
Ira Coslow, Foggy Throat, 40-year resident of Venice. Many times I've confronted people driving on the oceanfront walk, because it happens, and they quietly and slowly leave by the nearest exit. This is not a problem. You can't stop a maniac from doing whatever they want to do. This is the fact that you're having, this is great. There are safety issues on the oceanfront walk. We need the lighting. A lot of those ideas are good. But the bollards present a really big problem, because you need to have upkeep. One of the things that is never done on the boardwalk anywhere is upkeep. You can put in $1 million worth of stuff, and within 6 months it's rotted and rusted and not taken care of. That's a big problem. And what you need to think about also is all of the commercial stores along the oceanfront, when the trucks come in, they pull up those little side streets, and that's how they do their delivery. If you're cutting off all of those side streets with bollards or fences or whatever you're doing, there's going to be no delivery to any of those places, and the speedway is going to be dead. It's going to be done. Also, the lovely pictures of those little planters. Who's going to water those plants? You can't even water the grass. I mean, the grass, as Nick pointed out, the grass is gone, and everything's blowing over. So when you look at that, think about the dead plants that are sitting up there, not those beautiful live plants. There is a definite need, and this can bring out a lot of good ideas. Bollards, fences, nothing. None of those things are going to work, because we had bollards, we had fences, and this guy got on there anyway. And he left up my block, too, and there are bollards and everything up on there. Thank you.
I'm Carissa Kaplan. I live on Rose and Rennie, one of the ground zeros of Venice right now. Going back to what the gentleman before me said, Rose Avenue is a good example. They planted trees about 10 years ago on Rose. They were sticks for about 5 years after nobody took care of them. They had trash cans that had flowers on them, and then they became plastic, ugly trash cans now that are always overfilled. But I'm here to talk about safety on the boardwalk, and that seems to be a problem, but like he said, it was one person. There is a problem because there are a lot of people that come to Venice Boardwalk. There are a lot more people that are traveling here because of everybody talking about Venice. I don't believe that the Parks and Recs and the police are kind of on board with the number of people that are visiting, that are there, that are having issues with the boardwalk. Google has moved into town. Nobody is taking issue with Google and how they are not supporting the community. They are using the community. I don't know where the support is yet. Maybe it takes a while. I haven't seen it. I noticed the police department seems to be very contentious. I've had run-ins just by asking questions. I live here, I've been here for 30 years. I don't think barriers are going to do anything. I think people keep building problems and not dealing with the issues. We need to deal with the homeless. There are people in our area that have been here a lot longer than a lot of us. And we have to, it's a problem all over. Venice is as far west as you can go. People come here for the end of the rainbow, they don't find it. What do? They don't find it. People are desperate in many different ways, not just homeless, not just on the boardwalk. They're desperate in their homes. So you have a big problem here. It comes together. You can't just stop and give somebody a ticket or take them to jail. So we need to really deal with some major issues, not just building new laws or rules.
Thank you. There's a question about scattered areas, and I'm wondering if LAFD or LAPD could respond to that.
I'm Captain Golden, Fire Station 63, and I responded that afternoon when we had the incident. There were people just walking up and down the boardwalk, having scattered areas in the scheme of the big plan with PA systems and the other maybe alarms that would be in place would help. If you have a scattered area and that's all you put in, it won't do much good. But if it's included in the whole safety plan, then that could be safe refuge for people in the event if we have somebody that's deranged and takes off and runs down the board.
So it's a component of a plan, it's not sufficient in and of itself. Matt, do you have the other next group?
Gail Rogers, Eduardo Manila, Suzanne Thompson, Jerry Solomon, Melissa Diner. Sorry, Jeffrey.
Gail Rogers, 40 plus years, a Walk Street resident. I'm going to get Mike's attention. Mike Bonin, hello. Mike Bonin came to my house several years ago, and he sat on my dining room chair, and he broke it.
I did. I remember that.
Not to make light of the tragedy on the oceanfront walk. You know, someone was killed. There was also, trauma. But when Mike Bonin left, I didn't feel the need to hang up surveillance cameras in front of my house. I knew it was a one-time occurrence, that he was going to break my dining room chair, and I wasn't afraid there'd be future council members breaking my dining room chairs. But okay, got his attention. Okay, also, I walk on the ocean front almost every day, and I don't fear cars coming and killing me. I don't think there's as many people said, oh, every day there's a tourist driving the wrong way. I don't see that every day. And it's always funny. It's just, excuse me, you're not supposed to be here. Oops. Very slow, making a U-turn and leaving, and it's, okay. Now, what I have talked about, and I talked to Captain Johnson at the task force meeting. I'm always talking about it. I'm afraid of being hit by a bicycle. And Oceanfront Walk is now a bike path. I went out the other day, there were more bicycles on Oceanfront Walk than the bike path. And I looked, I thought maybe there was sand on the bike path, but there wasn't. And I actually went up to some tourists, I said, you're supposed to walk your bike. And they weren't lying. They said, really? I said, yeah. They said, well, everyone else is doing it, so we figured it's okay. And I go up to the police all the time, and I say, just enforce it. No, we can't. Yes, you can. I was a school teacher for 34 years, and they didn't chew gum in my room. And it took a lot. Don't chew gum, persistence. If you chew gum, you're coming in at lunch, and you're washing desks. And Yeah, just say, please walk your bikes, or put up those little wooden horses or sawhorses that say, but I see the police cars going by and people are riding their bikes, so. Okay, and one more thing. You know I'm gonna sneak in my little anti-zip line. I see here on page 2, the bollard system is approximately 1,200,000, and the city would give contracts, maybe I'm not reading it right, to Rec and Parks, 1 million. Now, can't we use that? Why is that coming up for the bollards when it could be coming up for cleaning bathrooms? I'm not a landscape architect, but maybe drought-tolerant plants instead of grass. Okay, thank you.
Hello, my name is Eduardo Manilla. I'm a member of the Venice Neighborhood Council, and I'm glad that we're looking into solutions for the oceanfront walk. And I just want to give my 2 cents out there because I think that low-income housing could play a very important role into changing our community and supporting those who need it the most. And we see a lot of people camping not only on Oceanfront Walk, but also on 3rd Street, south of Rose. And besides other social programs that we could have to assist these people who are, that have mental problems. I think that with all the gentrification process, low-income housing can play a very important role into creating a better Venice. So I just want to get that out there, and thanks everyone for coming.
I'm Suzanne Thompson, former president of the Neighborhood Council, and I am kind of surprised at this whole concept and this whole process tonight. Why we have somebody from Mark Vista leading our town hall meeting. I don't quite understand that, Ron, you're a nice guy, but what's wrong with the people of Venice leading Venice town hall meeting? And also about public safety on the Venice Oceanfront Walk. I've been working on restoring the public art projects on Venice Beach for 4 years and been demanding that the bathrooms be open. We've got beautiful poetry monument to our Venice Beach poets on Venice Beach that we're trying to restore, but how can I ask funders for money when the bathrooms don't even work? Most of the time they're closed and they're filthy and they're disgusting. We need these bathrooms open 24/7. We need the beach open 24/7. Venice is an art community. This whole presentation tonight, I'd never seen before. Somebody sent it to me a couple of days ago. Why haven't you consulted the people in Venice? The arts community, there's a lot of art that can be in this design. And, are you guys embarrassed? You're not even looking at me. I'm not sure who I'm supposed to be talking to. Who am I talking to? What is this town hall meeting about? Am I addressing you, Ron? Am I addressing them? Am I addressing Baden? Am I addressing the public? What is this meeting about?
You're addressing the public.
I will be continuing my conversation and thanking Councilman Bonin for supporting a mural ordinance in the city of Los Angeles, and I ask everybody in this room to support Venice being a mural pilot project because we want murals on single-family residents. Hell yes! I'm here. Hell yes! Hell yes in this room. You hear it? And we need maintenance. It's exactly what somebody said before me. If you do these beautiful things, we've got to protect them. And that's what the Venice Arts Council's been doing. I'm co-founder along with Emily Winters. We've been doing this, and we've been trying to get an ROE, a right to enter, to restore the 17th Street bathroom poetry walls since May with Spark. And we cannot get right to entry onto Venice Beach to restore our public art. And that's a shame. And I want to know why. We've talked to Jason. There's been requests in forever. And why can't this happen? You've taken money, millions of dollars from sports people to redo the basketball court on Venice Beach. Why wasn't any of that money put into restoring the bathrooms? Those basketball players hopefully use the bathrooms.
I first down from Westchester in 1962, living on Rose Avenue. The only way I could have safety is I had a tiger from South America on a 50-foot chain, and when I wanted to lay on the beach, I drove it into the sand, and nobody messed with me, if you know what I'm saying, because there was bikers down here. It was very dangerous. Well, now I got really lucky. We put a big building in front of me which blocks the sound. It's called something to do with senior low and very low income senior. Now, I'm looking around the room and I'm seeing my friends. I'm seeing the Venice house in the back. I'm seeing the École Claire Fontaine School, which is Joëlle Dumois is the head of the education committee of 13 schools in Venice, and she walks the children to the beach. She walks them to the park. She teaches them with all her instructors. I look over here and I see Didi Audette, and she has this new plan called Come to Venice and Slow Down. Okay, and I love her. She was one of the first people that actually ran this organization. What we've done here is a matter, what do they say, it's a matter of lack of communication, if you remember the movie. But let's take a look at this. Why, on Oceanfront Walk, why do drug dealers and why do what they call that method reading stuff, how do they get rid of that? How do they take care of that in the parks? And I'm not talking about the parks that the city use, because the county of Los Angeles makes the money off the money that comes in there. I don't know if you know that. So we're talking about the one that's way down at Washington and the one at Venice Beach North, Venice Boulevard North, and then we're talking about the one at Rose Avenue. Now these, at nighttime, it's crazy in there. Women are being abused with their children. I even saw somebody run over by a car and then backed up and ran over again. So, and I live a half a block from Oceanfront Walk, so I hear all the noise that happens. My wife freaks out. I'm sorry about the time I'm using, but everybody else did too. Okay? All right, so why, I'm so sorry. Is that okay with you? Okay, so like I said, I've been here a long time, probably longer than many people are old. So why is there not special white lighting over the ends where the danger is? Because that's what it was when I first moved here. And that white lighting, dangerous things were not underneath it, because for some reason crime seems to disappear under a special kind of lighting or white lighting, whatever it is. There's other things too. Has anybody heard of the broken windows theory? They did that in New York, and what did they do? They were able to bring back Broadway, and Broadway became popular again. Okay, so we need to do a lot of things. Another thing we need to do is, let's see, the sound is not supposed to be any amplified sound on Oceanfront Walk. It's supposed to be guitars, playing guitars and everything. Remember when the Beatles came? You what? What? Yeah, come on. There what? There are people that are what? There are other people that have a chance to speak. It's not your fault at all. It's not your fault at all. There's other people that have a chance to speak, and people speak. I promise I'm going to take over. Okay, so why is there... Yes, sir?
You gotta wrap it up.
You want me to wrap it up?
Wrap it up, please. Thank you.
Okay. I'm known as Uncle Choo Choo. Thank you very much.
I do want to acknowledge John Kelly and Ken Foreman are here from the LA County Beaches and Harbors. If you're wanting to come up and join us at the front table, you're welcome to do that, or you can sit in the back.
Of course, now that I stepped up, the 2 minutes are going to apply. My name is Lydia Ponce. I'm here tonight to talk to you as a community member about the value of life. A year and 4 months ago, 2 young teens were at the bus stop at Windward, and one of them was thrown in a van, sexually assaulted for 24 hours. And I ask you, where is her community meeting? Where is the public forum for this little girl? Where is her community support? Somehow this information was suppressed by the news, Channel 7, 11, 5, didn't cover it, not even in Canal 34. So I have to say that this is all a sham, unless you include the humane services, the supportive services for victims of crime. Go ahead, repay, but make the equal value to the lives that are being affected by the crimes committed by a few. It's not dangerous down there unless you don't know your neighborhood, unless you don't know the people who are vending, unless the people who require and desire and need free speech, because it is everyone's right. So I'm taking my 2 minutes, by the way. Tourist dollars, Google dollars, tourist and resident lives equally should be valued. We need to lift, ladies and gentlemen, this news media circus, the suppression of the truth, because these crimes are not reported. My recommendation is that you equally spend money for supportive services for people housed and not housed, especially our youth. Look around you. This is not just Venice. This is just a small portion, a small percentage. Look to the artist and look to our rich history and integrate our rich history. This particular young lady is broken, and the men that assaulted her only got 8 years each. So I ask you, where's the community? You're looking at her, and there's more of me that aren't here tonight. VNC, I deplore you. Do a better job of outreach. You asked me to bring my gente, my people, and you have translation sets now? You need to invest in the relationships with people who look like me. You need to know their names. You need to reach out to them. I will help you, but I'm not going to do the job for you because your life is lacking if you don't know somebody who looks like me, or Laddie, or Miguel back there. Because a family who has this daughter who is broken and lost is 6 generations deep Venice. So I ask you, please, do a better job, repave it, but spend the exact same amount of money for comprehensive services and humane services. Let's start being nice to each other and get truthful and honest. Thank you, Gary Walker, for being here.
I would just like to see that the public safety assessment include street closure projects that were already in place before the assessment came out and before the tragedy. I have copies of those that I can send you if you want to see them. And then secondly, just in regards to public safety as a whole, we have on our Oceanfront Walk committee page, we have put together a list of resources. I think the first one of all the resources, and I myself have just started to talk to people that I didn't have anything to say to before because I didn't know how I could help them and tell them that there are resources out there and available. So if you want to take a look at that list of resources, it's there. Thank you.
Behar, People of Venice, Barbara Gibson, Eden, and Jay.
So Naomi Klein wrote a book called The Shock Doctrine. And it's all about how in Chile, various places, that fascistic forces have used some sort of catalyzing event to enact an agenda which they've already had from long before. And of course, we know what happened in Chile. Not a very good situation. It does seem to me like in terms of this one event, I mean, it reminds me of the DC sniper. It makes absolutely no sense. I mean, in no way it doesn't benefit him to run people over. It only benefits a fascistic agenda. In the case of the DC sniper, the guy was flying all over the country with no visible means of support or income. In this case, the guy's driving a 2005 Dodge, and yet he's homeless. I don't buy that. Very strange. So, what I see is a desire for cameras. Okay, I want to chime in on what one of the previous speakers said. That's ridiculous. Cameras aren't going to stop anyone. Someone wants to kill people on the boardwalk, I mean, you know, a machine gun or a motorcycle could easily do the same thing. So the real question is, how can you prevent every possible way that someone could hurt someone? You can't. It's ridiculous. I see the people driving on the boardwalk at night. Usually they're just lost. That's reality. And I've never seen anyone get hurt. So it doesn't seem like a real problem. It seems like a problem or a solution in want of a problem. I concur with Barbara Peck. The use of public space by, like the Venice Ale House, for instance, or whatever that is over here, it's not acceptable. This was deeded to the city by Abbot Kinney as a public park, not a private place. Every city street in LA you can ride a bicycle on, but not the Oceanfront Walk for some reason. Now you can't endanger anybody. I don't think that's right. But the reality is, 15 plus hours a day, and you can easily do that safely on the boardwalk. Why can't you? That's what you need to change. The pier is low. It's wider than any sidewalk in the city. Yet for some reason you can do something safely on the sidewalks in the city, but not on the pier or on the oceanfront walk. Ridiculous. The idea that bollards are going to stop anyone, I mean, if someone really wants to, they can take a four-wheel drive truck, get onto the beach somewhere else, and come run down the boardwalk elsewhere. So I don't understand what this is all about, except an agenda that appears to have been in place long before. I'd like to point out that this audience seems to skew older, more conservative, and much wider than the regular community here. And I would like to point out that anything that comes out of it is going to be tainted that way.
My name is Barbara Gibson, and we've owned property or lived in Venice since 1970. I do not feel that this report really addresses the issue that I feel is the issue. Of course, we've heard many people's ideas of what the issues are. But since I've been here since the 70s, and on Rose Avenue and off of Rose Avenue, the issue is really the type of people that come to Venice, not the tourists, the people that are coming, like somebody said, for the dream, and then they just stay here. And a lot of them are mentally ill, a lot of them are drug addicts, a lot of them are alcoholics. And I feel that for many years, the police, their hands have been tied. I've watched how the previous council person handled things, and I do know that they really do control the police. So at sometimes it's go in there and take care of matters, and other times it's hands off. I think that we should take some of the money that's coming into Venice, because we are a tourist attraction, and having police on horseback, and also having the policemen on the beat to get to know the people. There are many, many issues that are confronting us. And I think it's great that, you know, there's this design so that we can look at it and talk about it and see what is feasible and what isn't feasible and what will help. But it wasn't the car that killed the lady, it was the person behind the car. And I'm with Lydia, I think her name is, that there are so many things that have happened at the boardwalk and on 3rd Avenue and on Rose Avenue that are never reported. Remember Helen, who worked for the Argonaut? She was like 80 years old. She was beat up at the beach, and the police said, don't talk about it. It's like those things have been going on for so many years, and it's not right, and it is dangerous. I'm glad that for some people it's not dangerous, but for others it is. Thank you.
Thank you.
where we decided to create gathering plazas and add street furniture, perhaps children play area.